Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. This chapter is an extract from the autobiography of Nelson Mandela, the first black president of South Africa. Experts from Long Walk to Freedom include description of inauguration ceremony, his journey to being a freedom fighter, the struggle, along with a tribute to other freedom fighters and countless other people who fought for their freedom. In South Africa, apartheid was followed. Apartheid refers to the discrimination between people on the basis of their race. It was one of the most brutal societies were dark-skinned people who deprived of their basic rights. This lesson gives us an overview as to how Nelson Mandela, along with others, carved their way to a society where there will be no discrimination on the basis of their color, caste, race, age, and gender. Now let's begin the chapter. 10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respect before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever the international leaders on South Africa soil. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre formed by the Union Building of Pretoria. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. Children, in this paragraph expresses that 10th May was the day when Nelson Mandela sworn in was the first black head of state South Africa. It was after years of struggle that his anti-racist party came into power. Until then, the seat had been always occupied by white presidents. That is why the color referred to the day as bright and clear. In a morning full of hope, days before this date, many notable personalities started congratulating him for his victory. For the first time in the country's history, so many international leaders came together for their inauguration ceremony. The ceremony took place in an open circular building made of sandstone consisting of union buildings in the Pretoria city. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zenani. On the podium, Mr. D. Clark was first sworn in as the second deputy president. Then Thombi Mesbek was sworn in as first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the republic and its people. Now the author was accompanied by his daughter Zenani on his big day. First, the two vice presidents took an oath. Then, when his turn came, he committed to respect, protect by the constitution and to devote his entire self into the welfare of the country. To the assembled guests and the watching world, I said, today all of us do by our presence here, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. We, who were outlaws not so long ago have today been given the rare privilege to be the host, the nation of the world on our own soil. We thank all our distinguished international guests for having come to take procession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for humanity. Now, the author also mentions some parts of his speech where he said that everyone, by his presence, was giving raise to hope for a new beginning. Previous rulers were discriminatory and lasted for long, but the ones who are given the opportunity to rule now would stand up against discrimination. He is glad to host a ceremony with the presence of global leaders. It is an achievement in itself. There was a time when South Africa, for practicing apartheid, lost all its international political relationship. Now, when there is no segregation in the basis of race and gender, their nations are happy to have healthy democratic relationships. Finally, they have come to the power and they pledge to make everyone proud. He thanked everyone, especially the international leaders, for joining them in celebrating their achievement, which is a step towards an equal society where every human will be treated fairly. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppressions of one by another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom regin. God bless Africa. Now he mentions that after great struggle, they have finally achieved political freedom. His government promised to free everyone of still existing poverty, hardship, and inequalities of all kind, along with assuring everyone of a country where no community will be considered inferior. He then exclaims that freedom should rule and may God shower his blessings on their land. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troops carriers rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precisions and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been fairly and freely elected. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South Africa Defence Force and Police, their chests badged with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. Finally, a train of Imphal jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue, and gold of a new South African flag. Now, just after the newly elected president's address to the audience, an impressive arrangement of fighter jets, helicopters, and soldiers' transporters raised everyone's heads up in the sky. It symbolized perfection as well as military respect and obedience towards the free country. The high commanders, who have won medals for their bravery, also saluted and promised their loyalty. Mandela mentions that he was well aware that these commanders who were now saluting him would have arrested him under the previous rule, as during the oppressive white supremacy he was considered to be a criminal. The air show finally ended by making of the South African flag in the sky with smoke beneath the jets. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of white sings Nossi Sikle Africa and black sing Die Stem, the old anthem of Republic. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem, they once despised, they would soon know the word by heart. Now the authors remember the day as the playing of two national anthems of the country, one of the whites and the other that is of the blacks. On that day, no one knew the wordings of the anthem of the black, but Mandela was confident that everyone would soon learn this anthem that they once hated. On the day of the inauguration, he was overwhelmed with a sense of history. In the first decade of the 12th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War, and before my own birth, the white-skinned peoples of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned people of their own land. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhumane societies that world has ever known. Now, in the last decade of 20th century and my own 8th decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all peoples regardless of all color of their skin. Now, on the day of the inauguration ceremony, the author was remembering the days of past when this whole system of apartheid emerged. It resulted in inequality and inferior treatment of dark-skinned people. They were deprived of their basic fundamental rights. As a result, one of the world's most brutal and inhumane society was born. This began even more before he was born. The system created an atmosphere of extreme cruelty and injustice for a particular part of the community. Now, when he was in his 8th decade as a man, he along with countless others have changed their entire system that treats humans as humans irrespective of their color, caste, gender or age. That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people whose suffering and courage can never be counted and repaid. I felt that as I have on so many other days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me. I was pained that I was not able to thank them and that they were not able to see what their sacrifices had brought. Now, this equal and free country was a result of sacrifices of countless other men and women who have fought all their lives for this day. The author wishes if he could thank them all, but unfortunately they didn't live to see the result of their courage. Now Mandela gathered his courage and power from all these people of thus